Good morning, everyone. Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir Dr. Sasank D. Dalvi, Chief Guest for the today's event, Dr. Pandit B. Vidyasagar, former Vice Chancellor Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded, President of Institution Innovation Council, and former Vice Chancellor Mgm Institute Dr. Sudhir Kadam Sir, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Nitin Kadam Sir, Registrar of the University Dr. Rajesh Goyal, Research Director Dr. Savita Ram, Head of Institutions, faculty members, and students. Mgm Institute of Health Science established Institution Innovation Council under the Innovation Cell of MHRD, Government of India in 2019, and successfully organized a number of events in the domain of innovation and allied areas. In view of enhancing the innovation ecosystem in the campus, Mgm IHS is continuing effort this year also. I'm privileged to open today's event, National Education Policy 2020, Perspective in Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development. Education is the process of mainly facilitating learning in education and learning and knowledge which helps to acquire skills, values, moral beliefs, and habits. Once the father of nation Mahatma Gandhi said, real education consists in drawing the best out of yourself. It's a very important statement that was given. Education is the process, if you see this education, starting in about 3500 BC, various writing systems developed in the ancient civilization around the world. In ancient India, education was mainly imparted through the Vedic and the Buddhist education. Educational institutes like Bikramshila, Nalanda, Takshila, now in Pakistan, had established a played important role in fostering the education. Indian education system has gone through the transformational change from ancient to medieval India, medieval to the modern India, and played significant evolutionary role for shaping Indian education system. Top institutes like IITs, IIM, University have been established in modern education system, which played important role in advancement of education. National policy on the education is a policy formulated by Government of India to promote and regulate education in India. National policy on education covers for elementary education to higher education. The first national policy on education was formulated in 1968 by the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, second in 1986 by Rajiv Gandhi, some modification in the 1992. Now it is the third, that is a National Education Policy 2020 by Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji. The policy is based upon the draft National Education Policy 2019, which is the committee chaired by Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, former chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization. The vision of the National Education Policy 2020 is for India-centric education system that contributes directly to transforming our nation sustainably into equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. It was very important. It is a high quality education to all. National Education Policy 2020 emphasized the school education, higher education, teacher education, highlighting the importance of languages in educational development. Beside the various objectives of National Education Policy 2020 aims fostering innovation and creativity also. National Education Policy, this education policy clearly mentioned the establishment of National Research Foundation to boost the research which will impetus for the next generation innovation and the entrepreneurship development in the country. Today we have an expert of this field, Dr. Pandit Vidyasagarji, former Vice Chancellor, Swami Ramanand Tirth, Marathwada University, Nanded, Maharashtra, and Sir is going to talk in detail on this topic. Before this, introduction to that, Sir, now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sasank Dalvi, sir, to present welcome address for this event. Sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Raman Yadav, sir. On this activity of our Incubation Innovation Council, to begin with, Honorable Dr. Pandit Vidyasagar, sir, Dr. Sudhir Kadam, sir, Medical Director, former Vice Chancellor of Mgm Institute, Dr. Nitin Kadam, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, all the faculty members who have joined for this event, all the students who are participating in this particular event. As today is the 30th January, and the role model of our institute, Mgm Institute, is Mahatma Gandhi. So I will like to pay tribute to the Mahatma Gandhi on this particular occasion, and I will like to quote here the definition which is given by a father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, regarding the education. By education, what sir means? I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in body, mind and spirit. That is the interpretation of the word in terms of Mahatma Gandhi. I am very happy that today the eminent speaker, Dr. Pandit Vidyasagarji, is with us for guiding our students, and I am very much associated with the sir right from when I was completing my tenure at Pravara also. So right from beginning, when the sir have joined to Nanded, before that I am aware about the sir, and we are in touch with each other on various occasions. Sir have guided us to the IPSC cell at Pravara Institute of Medical Sciences, Loni also at that particular time. Then I remember that we have, for the Incubation Innovation Council and for the students of that, the sir is the guest speaker. That is very good, because we are having, sir is basically physics person, physics man, and he is having great zeal for invention, innovation in that particular respect, the research. And we have also one collaboration, particularly in the field of radiotherapy and the physics, with the radiotherapy department of Pravara Institute and the physics department of the SRTR Medical College, Nanded, SRTR University, Nanded, the physicist and all that particular, and the collaboration, and we have worked in association. So sir, you are here, that's very, very good. And our students will surely like to interact with you and will like to hear you. Our institute here, Mgm Institute, just I will explain in brief. That is the 8 constituent units with this, 2 age-old medical colleges, more than 30 years, one at Navi Mumbai, the other at Aurangabad, and there are allied health field colleges to this deemed to be university, which came into existence into 2006. At Navi Mumbai campus, we are having the Center of Biomedical Sciences, Nursing College, Physiotherapy College, and Prosthetics and Orthotics College. And at Aurangabad, we are having Physiotherapy College and Biomedical Sciences. And nearly 4,000 students at our institute. We are having NAC A grade and NIRF ranking also. This institute is figuring in university as well as overall category. Our NIRF ranking is in between for university 100 to 150 category, and in the overall category it is less than 200. Among the UGC quality mandate also, our university participates, our students also participate at various occasions, the levels, the Green Campus awards have won by our both campuses, Green Campus Initiative and the Swachh Bharat. Even the Incubation Innovation Council, and for which we are today's event, that particular campus or that activity of our institute is also ranked, and 2.5 star has been given by now Ministry of Education. Previously we were referring to that before this policy came into existence as a MHRD. And our students will like also to hear, in addition to national education policy, something, because you are basically the startup and anything, so some few lines, the guiding about what is exactly the startup and all that, that will also add to the flavor. And with this, I welcome you, sir, and that's good that you have accepted, and we are here to enjoy your thoughts on this particularly national education policy. With these few words, I will welcome all other dignitaries, the staff members who have joined for this particular activity. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Raman Yadav.
Thank you so much, sir. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. Shashank Dalvi, sir, for always motivating and supporting us. Thank you for the welcome address. I also thank Dr. Raman P. Yadav, sir, for enlightening us on transformation of Indian education system from ancient to medieval to modern India and its evolutionary role for shaping Indian education system. Sir, having you in the team always makes us a huge difference. Thank you for being a constant support to us.
Now, I'm privileged to introduce today's the guest speaker, sir, Dr. Pandit Vidyasagar. He is an eminent personality. He is not only the academician, he is a researcher and administrator also. Former Vice Chancellor of Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded, Maharashtra. He has completed his basically PhD from Department of Physics, University of Pune, Maharashtra. Deeply explored his research capabilities in the area of this excellent field, that is a photosynthesis, photophysics, radiation biology, biomedical instrumentation, medical informatics, neurophysics, etc. His extensive experience in the academic and research translated into the long list of national or international publication in the journal of repute. He has also carried out number of the projects, research projects, that was sponsored by BRNS, ISRO, DST, BARC, CSIR, etc. Beside the major achievement, Sir possesses a tremendous academic achievement. He was the coordinator of National Eligibility Test for the college teacher by the UGC in New Delhi. He has worked as a convener for the Board of Study to design the syllabus and the right textbook of 9th and 10th standard for the students in the state of Maharashtra.
Please mute yourself.
Uh, Excuse me, mute, everybody should mute one. Sir was the member of 10th Dipali.
Bhavika, kindly keep muted.
He was a member of 10th UGC Plan Committee and request you to mute, everybody mute, so I can, so He was the member of 10th UGC Plan Committee and the member of Center for Advanced Study Assessment Committee of Molecular Biophysics Unit, IIC, Bangalore. He has smoothly performed diverse administrative role like a director, School of Basic Medical Science, University of Pune, director, Bioinformatics Center, University of Pune, director, School of Energy Studies, University of Pune. He holds several awards for his contribution and recognition, some of which are Chiplankar Smriti Award 1996, Indian Physics Association Pune chapter, Best Teacher Award in 1998 by the University of Pune, Vidya Vyas Award 2003, Regular Associateship Award by the International Center for Theoretical Physics, Education Award ETH Research Laboratory Pune for pioneering effort to popularize science in Marathi. As a skillful writer, Dr. Vidyasagar sir also published several books, articles, and the novels. Apart from these, he has also been subject expert and the coordinator for few films on the medical instrumentation and other subjects. He has also done more than 25 talk on All India Radio. Sir is a truly eminent personality, and we all are basically happy to hear from the sir about more about his experience in reference to innovation and research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Sir, over to you.
Thank you for inviting me to deliver this lecture on a very important topic. Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Dalvi Saab, then Kadam sir, our Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar, then Yadav Saab, many other teachers, dignitaries, students and friends. What I would do in this lecture, because national education policy is a very vast document, and I would like to bring out few salient features of this policy, but our main focus will be on entrepreneurship, innovation, invention, startup. And for that, what kind of training is required? What kind of mindset is required? Because you know that whatever kind of system which we have, education system in India, it has many pitfalls or many lacunae or many shortcomings, and they are known over the years. Now, in this new education policy, all those shortcomings are taken into account, and then some remedies have been suggested. Now, this policy deals with right from pre-primary education to higher education and professional and non-professional education. And there are many suggestions which have been given in this respect. So we may not be able to cover all of them. My theme, what I would like to carry forward is that how national education policy is important as far as invention, innovation, entrepreneurship and startup is concerned. What are ingredients which are actually this particular team, and then bring out those ingredients and tell students that how should they prepare or what should be their approach or what kind of difficulties they will face when they would venture into in this particular area. So that will be in nutshell what I will be talking about. So we'll go point by point, and I would be going backward and forward because there will be many. Okay, I'm sharing this screen with you. Can you see this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's begin with our talk, and as the title goes, so new education policy, perspective in innovation and entrepreneurship development. Now, I have a long association with Mgm institutions also because I was in Nanded and I had an opportunity to visit many times the engineering colleges over there. And I had a very good interaction with Kamal Kishorji Karam and also Principal Latkar and other teachers over there. And this institution has a long tradition and they have built up quality education, over the years. So it is really heartening that I would be talking to the students who are actually admitted to this particular university. Now, what was our earlier policy, education policy? Now, you know that UGC has said that we have these four aspects of education which we have to consider. The first is access. Access is very important. Then equity, because our society is not uniform and there are many discrepancies or bias, which are involved. So we have to see that everybody gets equal opportunity. And then the next one we were talking actually in recent time was quality. And when we started talking about quality, we realized that we do not have a system which is conducive to this, because the kind of teaching we were doing or we are doing now also is a rote learning. It is not conceptual learning. It is a rote learning. And it is based on information more than on information than knowledge. And that is why this new education policy has suggested that we change the framework itself. Means earlier education policies talked about the content. This education policy is talking about changing the framework itself. And so this is called disruptive innovation. So this is the innovation begins with policy itself. That this is a disruptive kind of innovation, means you disrupt the whole thing, whatever you have, and then rebuild. And that is the distinction of this policy as far as other policies in India are concerned. Then we were talking about globalization, internationalization of higher education. And then we have introduced autonomy also. Then ranking systems we have introduced that Dr. Dalvi has mentioned that your institution has a good standing in that. And then we said that we should implement choice-based credit system. But that was in fragmented way. Means it was at the higher education level. Nothing was at the school level or high school level. Now this policy actually builds up the whole theme right from pre-primary to the higher education or to up to going up to PhD. And that is the distinction of this particular policy. Now, what are the objectives of this policy? Now, they are very important. It is very important to know these objectives, because based on that only we will have all the discussion which will be taking place. The first is towards developing just and equitable society, because that is our aim. Then revamping all aspects of education system. I have said that this policy actually talks about teaching learning system. It talks about research. It talks about, say, entrepreneurship. It talks about extension. It talks about lifelong learning. It talks about professional education. Everything, every aspect of education has been dealt with in this particular policy. So teaching learning method means it is expected that we change our teaching learning method, and it has to be more activity oriented, more project based oriented, and rather than giving information, we have to do participative learning. Means students also have to change their attitudes. Then regulation and governance, there are many issues, as you may be knowing also in medical field. There are many issues in other fields also. There are many agencies which govern the education, and each one being independent have the independent norms. Then there is a contradiction, and all those norms are to be implemented by the university. So in this particular policy, it is also a great amount of what is regulation and governance. The next important point, which is the basis of our today's lecture, is vocational bias and skill development. When we are talking about innovation and entrepreneurship and start, it has to start right from the beginning. It cannot be inculcated all of a sudden. When the student comes for the higher education, it is very difficult because already his mind is set on certain things. He has already been trained in a particular way, and it becomes very difficult to change that mindset. And that is very important. So how do you build this mindset right from the beginning? That will be our focus of particular lecture. Then research is very important, because nowadays you know that in 21st century, no nation can make any progress unless that nation is involved in research. And you means all of us have witnessed that in pandemic condition, what helped us? It helped only research, because we are leading as far as our these vaccines are concerned, and that is the result of research. Because this Serum Institute has been engaged in research for last 30, 40 years, and that is the outcome of those efforts. And that is why research is very important. And there is a lot of things which have been suggested in this. There is a suggestion of National Research Foundation, how many, means how much grant should be given, what kind of problems should be dealt with, and all those things have been discussed. And use of technology is very important because that we are doing right now. We are interacting through technology only. Because this point has been already established because of pandemic, but it will be an integral part of our education system in future. It is expected that about 25 to 30% syllabus be covered by online. So that will be coming. So use of technology not only in teaching learning, but in all aspects of educational management, finance, and all those kind of things. New system aligned with aspirational growth of 20% in 21st century. So everything which is required. So our students will be, we have to actually generate manpower in such a way that they would be helping these kind of developments in 21st century. Next important point, which will be also will be discussing or again and again referring to this point, is holistic development. Because in earlier educational system, we have neglected many things. I will explain in just another few minutes. We'll come to this point. But holistic development is very important. A medical student has to know about sociology, social aspect. He has to be socially sensitive. He has to have some knowledge about law and those kind of things. So it is not a one-sided development. Means where I know only about physics and I don't know anything else. So that should not happen. And this education policy actually gives a lot of emphasis on this aspect, and that is holistic development. So what learning for? Learning to know, learning to do. Because our student can read, our student can write, our student can speak, but our student cannot do anything. If they are asked to do the things, they are not able to do. And that is the point which we have to take up, because if we want to be an entrepreneur, we have to start doing the things, because without doing, nobody becomes entrepreneur, or no startup can be set up, nor it can be taken further. And learning to live together, teamwork is very important, because we lack that in India. Means it is said, means when I actually interviewed Dr. Mashelkar, so this question was asked that how about teamwork in India? So he gave an example that say when two Japanese come together, it doesn't become 1 plus 1 2, but it becomes 1 on 1 11. And in India there is a chance that it 1 minus 1 0. So that is also very important, that we have to work together, we have to live together, we have to learn together, and that is very important aspect which has been specified. Now, learning to develop virtues means there are many, as I said, holistic development is what? There are many virtues, human virtues which we have to develop. Why it is important? I will just spend 1 minute on that. See, we are talking about artificial intelligence. Now, what artificial intelligence is doing? It is mimicking the things which human beings are doing. Now, why it is able to mimic those things? Because we are not using our whole capacity. Because you know that there are certain things which human can do, artificial intelligence cannot do. But we are not doing that because we are not using all our virtues, or we are not using our total capacity. In future, we'll have to do that. Means when in medical field, people say that when instruments are doing everything, why doctor is required? Yes, doctor is required because human can do lot many more things than what instrument or artificial intelligence can do. And that is the purpose now. Means that is the purpose of this new education policy, to develop the human being in such a way that they will be far ahead of artificial intelligence. That is the challenge for us. That is challenge before the students. So we have to have memory, reasoning, aesthetic science. Now computers cannot have aesthetic sense, which we can have. Physical capabilities, communication skills, and all kinds of things we have to worry about. So in nutshell, this policy, what it does, it envisages that teaching learning method has to change, means going from rote learning to conceptual learning. Skill development will be an essential part or integral part of education. Now we have to have a choice-based credit system where you can have skill enhancement courses, skill development courses. Then we should have credit transfer, all kinds of things. Means students should have given choices, means electives. We need to have many electives where students can choose from those electives. So that is the essence of a choice-based credit system. Then student participation in education is very important. It should not be a passive kind of approach. A student has to actively participate in learning, and those kinds of methods which we have to develop henceforth. Means, see, nowadays what we say means that's what we have done. Means I have been a teacher, and my attitude was that whatever I know, that only students should know, and if they know better, means whatever I know or whatever I have told them, if they convince me that they have really understood or they have acquired that knowledge, then I will give them very good marks. But it should not be limited to that. Means education of the student should not be limited by the limitation of a teacher. And that is a new thought coming up. That's why students should be given freedom to learn, and he can learn much more than what a teacher knows in that particular subject. In many cases, means in certain cases it may not be possible, but most of the cases. So now we'll begin that what is mindset. So what is mind? A mind, you know that we say that it is a set of faculties. And what are those faculties? There is cognitive, you know that cognition, what we say, then consciousness we say imagination, we say perception, we say thinking, then intelligence, judgment, language, memory. These are all characteristics which human brain exhibits. If you look at the animals, like say chimpanzee, who is our nearest neighbor, will not exhibit these properties. Human brain can do that. And this forms our mind. So our mind is quite evolved as compared to other animals. Then along with cognitive, we have non-cognitive also, means emotion, instinct, all these things are non-cognitive. But they are essential because they form the, say, characteristic of a human being. Then mind enables subjective awareness and, say, intentionality, which computer may not be able to, say, uh, understand. So that is the characteristic of a human being. Now, why do we need a mindset? See, in now in engineering or in even medical students must be knowing about that if you are given an instrument and you do some input, then you get certain output. Now, how do you get it? Because this instrument will act on the input and then you will get an output. And that characteristic of that instrument is defined by the transfer function. That is characteristic of that particular instrument. Like that, our mindset is a transfer function. Whatever you think, whatever thought emerges in your mind, it is acted upon by the brain. It doesn't come out as it is. See, this is means a simple example. Suppose you are very angry. Then you feel that you should pick up a stone and throw, but you don't do that. Why? Because your mindset is not in that way. Though thought is there, action is not there. So this thought actually is processed in the mind, and that means that depends on the mindset, your mindset, and this applies to the education also. That what you would be in future, would you be an entrepreneur? Would you go for startup? It will all depend on your mindset. If your mindset is not in that fashion, you will never go. I have not gone because I was never trained in that fashion, or I never had a mindset which will actually would have taken me to be an entrepreneur or something. My mindset was only to be a teacher, to a researcher, or to a lecturer. So that was my mindset, and that is why mindset is very important. So all thoughts are not translated in action. If they are in a modified form. Thoughts are processed before they are brought into action. And mindset is a processing machine. So this is what it is. That's why it is very important. So you have to develop a right kind of mindset if you really want to be an entrepreneur. You cannot become one within, say all of a sudden you transform yourself. That is not possible, and that's why you will have to take efforts. So this is what the human brain and a comparison of other brain. So don't go on size, because size doesn't define the intelligence. What defines the intelligence is the connections of the neurons which are formed in the brain. So the activity which neurons are able to carry out, that really defines your intelligence. And these activities form only through your experience, through your actions, through your work, through your effort. And if you are attending a particular thing, then more and more area is assigned to that. So that is called learning. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, then you will have to say, see that more and more area of your brain is associated with it. Then only things will happen, otherwise not. So that is what called learning. Say, where is the seat of mind? That is in the brain. Earlier, people used to say it is in the heart, but that is not true. It is in the brain. And human brain is most developed, has two hemispheres, left and right. And it has its own characteristics. Now medical people know this, I need not elaborate on this. And logic, left hemisphere is associated with logic, sequencing, linear thinking, mathematics, facts, or thinking in words. So that is. But equally important is, say, right hemisphere. Means that is also equally important. And what it does, it is imagination, okay? Then arts, or means emotions. All these things are associated with the right hemisphere. These are equally important. When we say holistic development, so we have to have development of all right hemisphere and left hemisphere also. You cannot, means earlier it was not thought. It was thought only if somebody is a good mathematician, okay, he need not know about social problems because he is bothered about it. So that is not the thinking. Now we are talking about holistic development, and it should be a development of total brain. So we do daydreaming also. Then skill and work experience is very important. Activity oriented learning. And that is the essence, that is the basis of skill development, which will be translated into entrepreneurship or invention, innovation, entrepreneurship, startup. So that is very important. And along with that, we should nurture values and human approach. This has been given a lot of emphasis in new education policy, that for professional education, it is recommended that the students should learn the topics which are related to sociology. So they become socially sensitive, or value education should be imparted to the student. So that is also very well said in this particular policy. Now we come to invention. That is the first step, means which we do in research. Now, what are the steps in research? Very simple. First is curiosity. You have to become curious about something. Unless you are curious, you will not observe it. Unless you don't observe, you will not experiment it. Unless you experiment, you will not analyze it. And at each point, it is very important, and many things can happen at various levels. For example, observation is very important. Now, you know the story of Jenner. Now, medical students, they are very well versed with it. Now, what was the observation which led to the development of vaccine? The observation was the maids who milked cows, where the cows were suffering from smallpox, they were actually affected less. Means they were protected some way. And that was the observation that was known in the society. Jenner used that observation to extrapolate that thing and said that something must be transferring from that cow to the maid, which may be giving them the immunity. And that was the basis. And that's why he took out that pus and then inoculated into the human body. And that is how the vaccine, first vaccine was developed. So observation is very important. Through observation, many things happen, but you cannot stop over there because observation may not tell you many things. So you have to do the experiment. And experiment means actual work. It is practical work, experimental work. So that is very important. And once you do that, then you have to analyze, discuss, and then come to conclusion. And we stop there. Our generation stopped here only. We didn't go further. We published a paper in national, international journal, and we stopped. We didn't go further. Now it is expected that you take it to the logical end. What is the logical end? That transform this into an application and commercialize it. So that is entrepreneurship. So that is what is expected in new policy. And so you have to go few steps further and complete the process. So start with the process and end with the product. So you start with a thought, particular idea, and then end with the product. So that is what is expected in new education policy. And this is equally applicable to all fields. Means it is applicable to science, it is applicable to technology, it is applicable to medical, all fields, this is applicable. So now invention and innovation, what is the difference? Now invention can be routine also many times. Whatever has been done, you add some incremental addition to that, and then so you get the credit. Like somebody has done up to, suppose say it has studied certain things up to some 30 degrees centigrade or 35, you add to that 5 degree and make it,
Nichod.
that is okay. Innovation means adding some new element. Some new addition has to be there. Then it is called innovation.
कपड़े निचोड़ भाई तू निचोड़ती नहीं कपड़े.
So innovation and invention, there is a little difference. It's all will have the same ingredients initially, but innovation is something new. So carrying out new combinations will also help. Or there are many other examples I'll give. New goods, new methods, new markets, all kinds of something new which didn't exist earlier, and that is innovation. So newness is the important characteristic of innovation. Improvement and spread are the key words. Innovation can be a market, economical, social, cultural, geographical, anthropological. See, innovation doesn't limit yourself to a technology development. It can be in any field. So anywhere you do something new or new way of doing it, means nowadays people are doing a lot of things. So that is called innovation. Say service to the old people. Nowadays banks have come up with a scheme where senior peoples are given service at home. So that is innovation in service. So there are many examples which will come across, and it also involves effective product or processes, services, technologies, artworks, business model. Anywhere, means all fields or all aspects of our life need innovation, and that is. But you must have that kind of mindset. Yes, I want to do something. I want to innovate. I don't want to only invention or discovery, and I don't want to stop there. I want to go ahead. Now, entrepreneurship is one step ahead. Means you have to go one step further, because here you have to take the responsibility and show it that it is commercially viable, or make it as a business. So there's a business formation. So as I said that we stopped only up to development of new or discovery, and then development means discovery of new technology, but we didn't go further to translate it into a product, services, and business. And that is what is expected from the new generation. Now, what are the types? See, nowadays there is no limit. Means earlier business had certain connotations, that when we said business, that it has to be of this particular type only. But now there is no limit to this. Means some of the new services and products that these are called nascent. Then project based means a temporary organization, limited lifespan. Like you get a contract for building a bridge or some other kind of construction. So there's a temporary kind of a thing. Then digital technology, mass media. So there is enough scope in this area also to do entrepreneurship, and many. As far as this is concerned, there are many ingredients, and we'll just list them. Means we'll not explain or will not go in details. But working with peers, then past experience, that is also very important. Then strong internal motivation. This is the main ingredient which one has to inculcate. a state that includes child's capacity for joyful and lengthy periods of intense concentration, pleasure center. You must enjoy what you are doing. If you are not enjoying, you cannot be an entrepreneur. Because results are not immediate. Means you will not get next day, you won't get results. It is a long process. And so you have to keep yourself engaged with that process and enjoy that process. Means if you are worried or if you are, say, not happy or if you are pain, then things may not be good for you. And that is what is required. Then quality and type of early education, that also matters. That is where the institutions come in. Is the role for the institutions because they should expose the students to these kind of things in the as a part of education. And now other ingredients are risk assessment and alertness. So people should develop this quality. They should be able to assess what are the risks and they should be alert about that so that you can take the measures to control the damage. Then task selection and analysis. Leadership qualities you must have. One who understands innovations, finance and business acumen in efforts to transform innovation into a success in economic goods. Global leadership. Nowadays, you need this leadership. You must develop as a attitude as a global citizen. What is that? That we have to get rid of our notions which are local. Many times they are contrary to other places. Like suppose you are teaching in Dubai. Now students you are in your class may be from India and Pakistan together. So there what statements you make are very important. So same thing happens. If you are doing business in Africa, then you have to know local ethos and your action should not contradict that. And that is very important. Or somebody coming to India, they have to know the local, say, culture, local ethos, local thinking, all kinds of things are very much required. And in business, they are very, very important because nowadays, there are a lot of controversies coming up, even through the, say, like Tandav is the contradiction. Then there are many contradictions or there are many conflicts as far as advertising is concerned. Wrong use of, say, idols or icons. So many things happen. So that, why does it happen? Because there is no right kind of a perception of the societal behavior, societal thinking, societal beliefs. All those are not there. And that is what would really cost you many things. Then leadership, what kind of leadership you can develop, that you have to decide whether you want to charismatic, mathematic, or participative, or authoritarian. There are many models, and what do you choose is it will depend on the situation and also your own say development as well as thought process is concerned. So that is what it is. Then training and education, I have already told. Direct relation between education and success. See, this is very important. Many times examples are given of Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, but it is said that they are exceptions. So exception does prove the rule, but here means you'll have to understand that means it is not that education is not important. It is important. And we have to be very serious about that. In higher education, the higher success. So when you are in a education institution which is providing higher education, so it is not in vain. So that is definitely will support you in these endeavors. Then of course, I mean, these are the, again, I had said, these are the objectives of national education policy. And we have been talking around this because that is, I have already explained these in my first slide. Now, what are the emerging areas? I'll give a few examples where you can venture. And for medical people, there is a lot of scope. And there are many areas which are coming up, which are, say, biology based or medical based. These are few which are engineering, automotive, driving, composite materials, artificial intelligence, bionic living spaces. So this is pertaining to medical field. So you can, now other areas are like suppose say micro needles for painless injections and tests. So you know that many people are scared of this. Even taking the vaccine and seeing this on the television, people can't bear it. So that kind of sensitivity people have. So now there is an effort. Now how to do it? It could be many ways it can be done. One thing I know that it is an example of a leech. You know, when leech bites you, what it does, it secretes a substance which will anesthetize that part. So you don't know that means your blood is being sucked. So those kind of things you can imagine now. Means there is no limit to imagine. Then sun powered chemistry means you have to actually convert CO2 into chemicals which will be useful. And for this, what you use solar energy. So there are efforts in this direction and a lot of research is going on. Or this is a special computing. Now what is that? The special computing does everything visual reality and augmented reality apps do. Digitize objects that connect via the cloud. And you generate that kind of a situation where it would be means it will be a mimicking of real life situation. So that is what it is. Or in silico medicine. Right now means the example which we can say it of COVID. Now what we wanted the development of vaccine. You know that vaccine development takes 10 years by the traditional methods. Because you have to do a lot of testing before you actually use it for human beings. Means not only means you have to do animal test. First you have to find out right kind of molecule, which will actually act on particular receptor so that it will give the desired result. So that is the first step. But there you use a lot of in silico methods nowadays. Bioinformatics is a field which is doing that. So you can actually mimic that molecule in a computer or in silico, then that receptor also, then see that whether they are compatible to each other. There are methods which are developed so that whether that molecule acts at the active site. So that can be done in silico. So a lot of experimental effort is saved. Earlier it was done on the animals directly. Nowadays we use computational methods. So that is one thing. But going beyond that, actually simulating a situation where you are using that medicine in a human being and seeing the effect. So that will reduce the time because nowadays you know that we have come out with vaccine in 1 year. This is fastest method, but then you have overlooked many things or you have skipped many stages or steps, and that was because it was emergency. But in normal process also, if you can reduce the time from 10 years to 2 years or 3 years, it will be a big advantage. Because COVID is only one virus. There will be many more coming. So every time they come, we'll have to find out the vaccine for that or remedy for that. And that's why we must have a system in place which will help us to do it in a faster way. And that is what people are trying to do now, that in silico medicine, this is a field which is growing. Or digital medicine. So what you can do is say, you can say detect mental and physical disorder. So diagnostic purpose means instead of many times it becomes very difficult for doctors also to diagnose. So a lot of time is required. Even means like in neurology, if you want to take an appointment with a doctor in Pune, it takes months. You know that. And in foreign country, it is still worse. India is still better, far better. In US, you don't get appointment 6 months, 1 year like that, unless it is emergency. So situations are not that good. Means as we say that they are developed countries, But our situation is far better as far as medical care is concerned as compared to US. So that is why these kind of techniques will be useful. Electric aviation is another this thing, using now electrical motors. Now you know that it will revolutionize the this automotive industry. But everything has become redundant. Means the whole complicated machine is translated into a DC motor. That's all. You need DC motor. Now there are innovations which are going on with respect to that, so that you have faster, better, longer, all kinds of things you can incorporate in that. And there is a lot of scope for research in this area itself. Then lower carbon cement, means cement industry, you know that it is working overtime because constructions are going on, and that contributes 8% of the total CO2 generation on the earth. So if you reduce that, even bring it to 30%, it is great advantage. So that is what the effort is being done, that we get a cement which is this. Quantum uh, sensing. See, quantum computing, you must have heard about. It's a new technique and it's very, very advanced because we are using quantum mechanical techniques for degenerate states. And there are many principles, quantum mechanical principles, which come into picture. And this will enhance the capability of computer many times. And that is why quantum computing is there. Quantum sensing now means you build sensors on those principles, using those principles. And they will be very sensitive, and they can, because you know that we have not understood brain, even maybe 20-30% we have understood. We have not understood more than that. There are a lot many things we don't understand about the brain. And that is true for all other, say, systems in our body also. As doctors, you would be knowing better than me, but this is the situation. So there is a lot of scope in that. Then clean fuel, as we are saying, clean fuel is very important. And for that, hydrogen is the best candidate. Because if you use hydrogen, then you get water. There is no pollution. But there are many efforts which are done in this direction using this H2. So can we get it from the plants? That is the problem. Now you know that plants carry out photosynthesis. And in photosynthesis, water is split. So you get hydrogen ion and you get oxygen. So oxygen is thrown out. Hydrogen ion gradient is formed, and that energy is used for ATP synthesis. But suppose you deprive these plants or the algae from sulfur, means sulfur deprivation. What happens? That instead of this photosynthesis, hydrogen is produced, H2. And efforts are being done to make use of algae to produce hydrogen. And this can be done again and again. Means when you start producing, algae start producing hydrogen, they'll become weaker because there is no food. Then after some time you again supply sulfur, they will start producing food, they'll become healthier. Again use them to produce hydrogen. Like that, those kind of things are being done. And to increase the efficiency, they are carrying out the mutations in this algae, and so that conversion rate is enhanced. Now whole genome synthesis. Now genome is the basic material which controls the behavior of the, or even growth and properties and everything of the living, say, animals, plants, organisms, everything. Now, can you synthesize the whole genome? So the whole genetic characteristics can be controlled through that. So suppose some cells are not working properly, you replace the genome itself. So that will be a new therapy coming up. Nowadays, what we are doing, we are trying to replace only one part of it. Like in Alzheimer, people are doing that, they are trying to replace a defective part or defective gene so that, these cells start behaving normally. Instead of that, replace the whole genome. So no problem of identifying the genes and all. You know the genome because it is artificially made. So you know the characteristics. So replace the genome. So you will have an organism which will have defined characteristics. So it can happen with the human beings also. So you can have engineered human beings the way you want. You want Sachin Tendulkar, you get it like that. So this is a science fiction, but come to one day. So these are the areas. Means I have just given some representative areas for your thought. So this is where there are challenges, and that is why we need entrepreneurs. We need people who start up. We need people who invent. We need people who do innovation. And that is what is envisaged in this new policy. There are many other areas. I will not go into that, but even single molecule studies people are doing, and we can study single molecule by using optical tweezers. So, and we can study the properties of the say bacteria and other say animals, and which beneficial in treatment of the human beings. So medical field is the most challenging field, and it will grow in 21st century like anything. Both ways, as far as service is concerned, as far as research is concerned, as far as innovation is concerned, and entrepreneurship is concerned. Because business nowadays only through pharmacy
Ganga?
in the whole world. So if it happens in the other areas, then we can go still further. So this is a very promising situation that I have been given opportunity to talk on this subject. I thank Dalvi Saab, other organizers, and Dr. Yadav for the opportunity. So, any questions, please ask. I will be happy to answer.
If anybody have any question, it was very interesting discussion on the innovation and the invention. You can ask any student, faculty member are requested or to ask any questions that if you have anything on that line. Sir, I have one question to you.
Yeah, please.
It's basically in the innovation and the invention, the inspiration from the nature is the main things now the scientists are taking. Just I'm giving the example of the carbon dioxide utilized that you have mentioned about cementing process. Is inspired by the mollusca where the carbonic anhydride has been explored. So this type of the thinking of the new generation is required to take the inspiration from the nature. Nature, what I feel, nature is an engineer, nature is a doctor, everything with the nature that can be taken for the new discovery, invention, entrepreneurship, and other area. What is your comment on this, sir?
No. Nature actually teaches us many things, and nature has done many things before us, like nanotechnology. Nature has already used it. Nature is far ahead of us, like in cochlear cells, you know. So, in cochlear region, the cells which are there, now they are electromechanical devices. Now we are thinking now when we have started working on nanotechnology and we wanted to generate macro machines, we require means we understood that we need electromechanical devices. But hair cells in the cochlear region, they are already using this principle. Means a contraction and elongation is controlled by the potential across the membrane, hyperpolarized or depolarized. So there are many things like photosynthesis. We don't know because there the water is split, bond is broken, and how much energy is used in electron volt. Whereas if we want to break water, we have to use lot many energy through electricity. So we don't have that knowledge. So nature is far advanced as far as human being and human brain is concerned. And many clues can be taken. That's why people are studying biology. So earlier it was said that all physics principles, chemistry principles will be used to study biology. But now it has become other way around that we pick up many principles from biology and try to use it in other areas. Like as far as gene is concerned, how does gene work and all. So all these are say 0 and 1, like action potential. It is already there. So we are talking about now digital systems, but nature has already designed it for years long or billions of years back or like that. So we do learn from the nature, and we learn more and more in future.
Thank you, sir. If anybody have any question that, so if there is no question, I would like to just invite Dr. Sabita Ram, ma'am, to conclude.
Very good afternoon to one and all, to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sudhir Kadam sir, Dr. Nitin Kadam sir, the Registrar, and Dr. Raman Yadav, who has convened this program today. But I would fail in my duty if I would not thank Dr. Vidyasagar for enlightening us and for holding such a wonderful and an interesting lecture. What we enjoyed from his lecture was that he did not talk only of innovation and research in innovation, but also the philosophy of life and how the virtues of an individual are very important in instilling, which should be instilled in students when they are young. Because when they are young, probably they will imbibe a lot more than when they grow older. Another point which he emphasized was that you cannot work in isolation. You have to do research having a holistic approach and also have the teamwork of different types of researchers to carry out a single research. He also mentioned that the memory is something which is very unique for us human beings, but I think even animals have memory, but we have another part to our memory or the brain, which is a capability to have an aesthetic sense, also to have common sense, and also to have something that we can make out right and wrong. He also emphasized that the students should be made motivated right at the beginning, and this motivation comes for giving them a chance to think out of the box. A student should always be better than his teacher. So I've been a teacher for the last 40 years, and I always, when I see the students being better than us, we always feel more, proud to see them there. So Sir has very nicely said that a student should be just instilled or just motivated a little, but he should be better than us. He also made a comment on the human mind, which is a transformer. It's just like we make our mind to the desktop or to the transformer, where we take in some information, we try to process the information, and then come out with and some type of a product. One thing which he emphasized very correctly is that when you do research, if you don't utilize the research which has come out of the hard work you've put in, and you go into the use for society and have an entrepreneurship and make it available to society as a product, your research doesn't end. So with these few words, I would like to say his own words, that you should love what you do and do what you love, and work hard, have the values of imagination, observation, inquisitiveness. Only then you can carry out experiments and research. Thank you, Dr. Vidyasagar, so much for such a wonderful lecture. And thank you, Dr. Raman Yadav, for making it possible for us all to hear this lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Raman sir, VC sir, our chief guest, Dr. Savita ma'am. Thank you all. So now we can just leave this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.